What's up, everybody? It's been a little bit of a minute, hasn't it? Because I had intended on doing 2 days last week, and I'd gotten heavily distracted on Friday by what I can't remember. And hey, it'd be like that sometimes. I think I am gonna probably drop this to about 1 day a week, just because I'm really hitting the pavement hard with a lot of the things that I've been trying to do, and I still want to make sure that I do this because it's been just a big help to me. So mainly I want to make sure that I'm doing it for myself, but at the end of the day, I do love the fact that I can put this out there and some people are watching. It's not a lot of people, but some people are watching, and to those of you that actually watch through the videos and get some sort of value, or it even just makes you think a little bit, I love you. Of course I love you. Y'all are my peeps. That being said, it's going to be plus vibes. This is probably going to be the only one for the week, and I may do more than one a week, but I want to guarantee you, at this point, I want to say that I can guarantee you one a week. And today, rewind, please go over to youtube.com and plug in Geopoppinpacks. That's going to be in the description for you to copy and paste into your whatever you use, Safari, internet browser, Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and give me a search and give me a sub and do the deal. I love you. Today I just want to talk about, and I'd like this to be kind of a discussion too, so I hope people comment and give me what they think about it. I want to talk about tolerance. I think, and I don't mean it in the very controversial manner that the world is based around right now. I mean it in just kind of your everyday life and the things that you have to put up with and the nonsense that goes around in your day-to-day, and how much of that are you supposed or should you tolerate? Well, we've talked about, and I've brought up, you're in control of your life in the things that you do specifically, and then how you react to the things other people do. And that heavily is how you do tolerance. That's the way you tolerate is how you react to the things that are around you. So when you exhibit tolerance, it's when somebody in your life is doing something that you maybe have expressed you're not a fan of, and they have told you that they understand and they'll do their best to watch it, and they don't. And it's kind of on you now to decide, okay, well, this is just kind of who this person is, right? And that doesn't make them a bad person. They're just doing something that you're not a fan of, right? So depending on what that thing is, how much tolerance do you decide to exhibit? Do you, it's so my curiosity is, where do you draw the line? And I know it involves the specifics of the situation. So let's say it's in your car, right? And somebody, man, I'm trying to think, because I want to make sure whatever I say to the people who may watch that are involved in my life, I don't want to put anything out there that is something that happens in my life. Does that make sense? So I want to make sure I'm thinking of something that is not real in my life, but it's still something that would be considered. So let's say, here you go. Nobody does this in my life because I've set the standards here, but let's say it's your car and somebody likes to touch your radio without asking and put on whatever they want, and they just kind of take control of your radio, right? That's something that you could easily tolerate, right? But do you do it? Do you put your foot down? And if that person gets snippy about you kind of putting your foot down, what do you do there? I'm curious. I mean, you kind of want to stand your ground, right? That's your domain, and you want to be able to handle your space your way. And that person, if they have a car themselves, obviously you would say, look, if I get in your car, I'm never going to touch your radio without asking. I'm never going to put on a song without asking if it's okay. I'm just not going to do that. Hey, but you're going to get in my car and you're just going to take the cord and do your thing and expect me to not only be okay with it, but thank you for it or something? I'm just supposed to be happy that you're taking it and not letting me put on music in my own vehicle? No, right? Is that how you'd react, or are you going to let that slide? Oh, they don't get in, they're not in my car all the time. Maybe when they get in the car, I can just be okay with the fact that they want to put on music in my car, right? Okay, they're not in my, it's so subjective, right? So I'm just curious, because there is some things happening in my life that they're much more severe than car radio, but I'm wondering where you draw the line. If somebody makes an agreement with you, and here's I'll keep this one vague, but I think this should be one that somebody could answer for me. If somebody makes an agreement with you, a predetermined thing that genuinely affects you and your psyche, let's say, your mentality specifically. It doesn't physically affect you, but it specifically affects you, and it's a mental thing, and it's something that you requested from a person, right? And they, before you entered into the agreement, you laid down every single solitary detail, and you put it down, and you're just like, I need you to do, you know what I mean? For us to be able to coexist, I need you to do this. This is my only stipulation. You say something like that, right? And they say yes, right? And then you start to cohabitate, and then all of a sudden that agreement that you made is being slowly infringed upon. This thing that you asked them not to do, they just start slowly doing it, slowly doing it, and slowly doing it more, and in increments. So like there's the full capacity of the thing you didn't want them to be doing around you, and then there's, they can do it to, 10, 20, 30% capacity of that thing, right? And they're slowly trying to inch their way into 100% capacity of this thing that you specifically said, I don't want it being around me or happening to me, right? How do you handle that? Is that something you stand your ground? And does it matter who that person is, if they're a close relative or a good friend of yours that's been friends with you for a very long time? Does that play some sort of factor? How do you decide how you're going to handle that situation? How do you decide if you're going to stand your ground and say, look, I can't even do it anymore? I'm curious. I certainly am. I have my thought process, and I'll be honest with you. I think that if somebody, doesn't matter what the agreement is, if you've made some sort of agreement with somebody that's like that, I think it's viable for you to say, look, you agreed. It's not, whether you think it's justified or not, was something that you should have touched on in the beginning when this was all brought up. Right or wrong, right? This is me asking whoever's watching. I feel like that's something that should have gotten touched on when the agreement was being made, when the hands were getting ready to be shook, But since everything was covered, and then here we are in the thick of it, and now you're deciding that after you made this agreement, oh, you don't like it, it's not fair. Well, I think that's tough titties, right? Okay, you agreed to it, so you can either do one of two things. You can either exit the cohabitant agreement altogether and do your own thing, right? Or you could continue with the agreement and pull back on doing the thing that you said you wouldn't do, right? I'm curious. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to kind of get other people's views on tolerance specifically. You know what I mean? I think it's a very important thing, and I think that you have to exhibit tolerance in your day-to-day life. It's not something, you cannot go through your life just being intolerant constantly. You have to be able to judge when it's right and when it's wrong. And I think being able to come to a conclusion on that heavily can be predicated on talking it out with people in your life and really getting multiple opinions. And don't cherry pick your information. I think that's a terrible thing to do in all situations. Don't go looking for somebody who just agrees with the way you're already thinking. No, just you know what I mean? Please go find somebody who does have the opposing opinion, because you really need to actually say, sit down and be like, all right, I want to consider the opposition heavily to know if I actually am correct or incorrect, right? I think that's important. And that's it. That's tolerance, a little bit of it. And I want to hear from you. So please hit me down in the comments below. Alrighty. Happy Monday and have a good week, guys. I'll talk to you on the flip. T-flop. Love you. Peace out.